Math 105, Section 1.5 continued. When you solve a system of equations, it gives you the point where the two lines intersect. Example, solve negative 9x plus 3y equals negative 3, 4x plus 2y equals 8. Look at 4x and the 9x, the negative 9x. 4 does not go into 9. Okay, 4 is your smaller number. It doesn't go into 9. Look at the 3y and the 2y. 2 is the smaller number. 2 doesn't go into 3. That means we're going to have to multiply both equations by something. Okay, and what we did in our last lesson, you multiply by the number that's in front of the other x in the other equation. One of them has to be positive, one of them has to be negative. Okay, so negative 9x is going to get multiplied by 4. 4x is going to get multiplied by 9. And we can see that gives us the equations on the right. 4 times negative 9x is negative 36x. 4 times 3y is 12y. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. The second equation, 9 times 4x, 36x. 9 times 2y, 18y. 9 times 8, 72. So when we add the two equations together, our goal is to get a letter to go away. Minus 36x plus 36x is 0. Add the like terms, 30y equals 60. Divide, we get y equals 2. Go back and plug in 4x plus 2, we know y equals 2. That gives us 4x plus 4 equals 8. Subtract 4, we get 4x equals 4. Divide, we get x equals 1. Okay, now if we graph, I like to put it in y equals. So I'm going to add 9x to both sides. Divide by 3. I get y equals 3x minus 1. For my second equation, subtract 4x on both sides and divide by 2. And that gives us our other equation, y equals negative 2x plus 4. Okay, so I have our two equations that are now solved for y. You can plug in any number for x, and that gives you the y. So when you replace x, that tells you the y. So we have these pairs for y equals 3x minus 1. We have 0, negative 1, 1, 2, and 2, 5. For y equals negative 2x plus 4, we have 0, 4, 1, 2, and 2, 0. And when we graph those, we can see that they cross at 1, 2, which was our solution. We can also see in the table they both have what point here? They both have what point? They both have this point 1, 2. Okay, that's where they're crossing. Okay, 1, 2 is the solution. It's where they intersect. What if they do not intersect? Parallel lines do not intersect. Parallel lines have equal slopes. Okay, so let's solve negative 2x plus y equals negative 1. Negative 4x plus 2y equals 6. Look at negative 2x. If you multiply negative 2x by negative 2, you will get 4x in the first equation. And 4x will cancel with negative 4x in the second equation. Okay, so that means I'm going to multiply negative 2 times the first equation, And what does that give me? Negative 2x times negative 2 gives me positive 4x. Negative 2 times y gives me negative 2y. Negative 2 times negative 1 equals positive 2. Now, we don't have to do anything to the second equation in this example. So I'm going to add the two equations together. And what happens? I get 0 equals 8. But 0 does not equal 8. So what does that mean? That means there's no solution. Okay? So now let's look at the equations. Okay, the equations, let's change them both into y equals. Okay, so negative 2x plus y equals negative 1. I'm going to add 2x on both sides. So I get y equals 2x minus 1. Negative 4x plus 2y equals 6. I'm going to add 4x to both sides. Then I divide everything by 2, and I get y equals 2x plus 3. Y equals 2x minus 1 and y equals 2x plus 3. These have the same slope. Okay, so that makes them parallel. Okay, the 2, whenever you get the equation of a line, the equation of the line is in the form y equals mx plus b. The m is our slope. Okay, so I plugged in some numbers so that we can graph. On the equation on the left, y equals 2x minus 1. If I replace x with 0, I get 2 times 0 is 0, minus 1 is negative 1. I plug in 1. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. Okay. If I plug in 2, I get 2 times 2 minus 1 is 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay, on the right side, same thing. I get my points plugging in numbers for x. Okay, remember we can plug in any number for x. Okay, and so when we plug in, we see that they are parallel lines, which means they don't intersect, okay, which means there's no solution. And that is the end of this lesson.